What movie do you enjoy that you will 100 agree is a bad movie? The core. I'm paraphrasing here, but there's a portion in the movie where everyone says it can't be done, but one guy takes a drag on a cig and says, but what if we could? The entire movie progresses on that point. Deep Blue Sea. I mostly enjoy that one unexpected scene. Check it out. Street Fighter with Raul Julia as Bison and Kylie Minogue as Cammy. Oh, and a Samoan bloke as E Honda. Because 90s. The core. Terrible movie, lack of science or logic, but I just find it so gripping. Fool's Gold. It's a dumb movie that makes no sense, but for some reason I go back and watch it at least once a year and enjoy it every time. Gone in 60 Seconds. Say what you will, but I can watch this every day. Accepted. It's terrible and hilarious. Has Justin Long at the peak of his teen movie years. And features Lewis Black as a version of himself as a jaded professor. So good. Batman Robin is certainly a bad movie. I love it so much. It's worth watching for Arnold and his puns alone. But the whole movie is just campy fun. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's so much fun and I love the Nautilus. Flash Gordon was released in 1980, but re-released this year in 4K. Bad, but in the best way. And that Queen soundtrack. Van Helsing. It's Hugh Jackman, Kate Beckinsale a la the glory days of 2004. It's got a 27 on Rotten Tomatoes. 6.10 on IMDb, but there's something about the dry jokes smattered in what's supposed to be high tension scenes. Or scenes of sexual tension. The special effects aren't the greatest, but at the same time it also adds to the experience. The Cutting Edge. Ghost Ship. The Room. It's as bad as a movie can be, but makes for an excellent drinking game. Without a Paddle. Fucking hilarious, and also dumb as hell. House Bunny. Hackers. Hack the Planet. Center Stage. Early Van Damme movies. They're awful, but I've seen them all multiple times. Give me a Kickboxer double impact double feature and I'll be there to watch that garbage. The Day After Tomorrow. It's bad, 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 but such a fun watch. The Super Mario Bros. Live action movie. Don't care, love it. Anaconda. Dude, Where's My Car? Edit Zoltan 10. Edit 2 Surprised no one has quoted I'm gonna have to confiscate yo pinky yet. Van Helsing. The one with Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale, also in the Underworld movies. I watched it over and over again as a kid and now I like its campy over topness as an adult. Masters of the Universe. Frank Langella is incredible as Skeletor and it's a genuinely fun movie. The commentary track explains that since Motu were toys with no story whatsoever, they basically wrote as an unauthorized Darkside film. The Faculty. It's cheesy, and some parts are almost laughable. But it's a fun watch and I love it. Eurotrip. X200B. However, I feel conflicted about calling this movie bad as I personally feel it was unfairly ignored by the Oscar committee. Scotty Doesn't Know. You Kissed Your Sister. Club Vandersex. FIONA. Hudson Hawk. Tank Girl. It's cheesy as fuck. But I think it was meant to be cheesy. But it was not really able to walk that fine line of jokiness and cheesiness where it was supposed to come across as satire. Instead, the movie is just kind of ridiculous. And I fucking love it. Ernest Scared Stupid. But any of the Ernest movies will do. Ghost Rider. I love it, but it is pretty cringe NGL. I loved Roadhouse. But pretty bad. You Don't Mess with the Zohan. Encino Man, Balls of Fury, Biodome. I love every minute of it. 13 Ghosts, Blades of Glory is SWAT, Masters of the Universe, Night at the Roxbury, XXX, Batman Forever, Kilmer is my Batman, Spice World. Never was into the Spice Girls, but I liked their movie. One on my list of guilty pleasure movies. Armageddon. It is a shit Michael Bay movie that makes no sense and has scenery chewing all over, and I am there for every minute of it. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Movie is just a fucking mess of horrible writing. God, I love it so much. Could watch it anytime and anywhere. Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Vegas Vacation. So bad, but so rewatchable. Running Man. Fuck yeah, Arnie, cut that dude's balls off with a chainsaw. Resident Evil movies and some of the Underworld movies. The entire Fast and Furious franchise is just an over-the-top action wet dream, but I love it. It's like when you were a kid playing with toy cars and action figures, but with a $20 million budget. Basketball. Rochelle, a young girl's strange, erotic journey from Milan to Minsk. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Sphere. Often the criticism stems from comparing it to the book, which I think is somewhat unfair. Face Off. As an adult, I know this movie is objectively terrible. Still love it. Age of Adeline is one of my favorite movies. I know the storyline is ridiculous, but I just love the movie. I'm a sucker for time jump travel immortality. Cabin Boy. 48 on Rotten Tomatoes, a 21 Metacritic score and chock full of stupid goofy quotes. Van Helsing. Kate Beckinsale and Hugh Jackman are just so radiant in that movie, despite how utterly corny it is. Battleship. It's a generic action disaster movie, but when Thunderstruck starts playing I always get pumped. Crybaby. I know it is bad, but I grew up with it. I developed my first crush on Johnny Depp because of that movie, and I loved Wanda. Any Pauly Shore movie, I cannot let them pass by. I have to watch. Snakes on a Plane. Tokyo Drift. Arguably debated as the start of the franchise's downfall, but one of my favorites despite that. Tommy Boy had terrible reviews when it came out. Still one of my favorites. PCU. It's pretty terrible but in a super fun way. Plus, there are a couple of early appearances by some pretty recognizable actors. I have seen it countless times. Crank. Ernest Goes to Camp.